evening. This is News Night. It's coming to you live from our studios here at Labonit. So the match between the Ghana Black Stars and Egypt ended 1-0 against the Ghana Black Stars. Hard luck for the Stars, but let's hope that in the next match they will glorify the country. I'm Josephine Oppong-Yeboah. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo names DCOP David Asante Apietu as Acting Inspector General of Police, taking over from John Kudalo, whose retirement was announced today. From the legislature, members of parliament commend ECOWAS for its proactive intervention in the recent political impasse in the Gambia. In business news, producer inflation drops sharply to 4.9% in December 2016 from the 11.9% in November 2016. In news across our borders, President Donald Trump to sign executive orders restricting visas and immigration, as well as the entry of refugees, making good on a signature campaign pledges. We appreciate your time on News Night. In our first story, President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo has appointed COP David Asante Apietu as the Acting Inspector General of Police until constitutional processes are completed to confirm his appointment. His appointment comes after the end of the IGP John Kudalo's tenure, which ended today, 25th January 2017.
Was at the Flagstaff House this afternoon to bid President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo farewell. President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo thanked him on behalf of the people of Ghana and his government for the work he has done for the nation, commended him for his service, and wished him well in his endeavors. The former IGP, John Kudalo, thanked the President, Ghanaians, senior police officers who worked with him and his junior staff for the cooperation he enjoyed with them during his tenure and the successes that were achieved during the elections. The president later at a press conference announced the appointment of COP David Asante Apietu as the acting IGP. President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo described him as someone who has lived a competent life and been professional in the delivery of his duties as a police officer.
Has a very strong reputation as a good police officer, a good public official. Lived a very disciplined life within the police service. And I'm confident that he can give the police service the leadership that is required going forward in our country.
The president noted that the country needs a professional police service that works according to the laws of Ghana.
My interest, the interest of my party, and I believe that is the interest of the people of Ghana, is that we have a police service, and indeed a security service, which is professional. And by that I mean people whose allegiance is to the state and the people of Ghana rather than to governments that come and go. That's my understanding of what a professional security service is about. A service that owes its responsibilities to the state of Ghana, and therefore will carry out its duties in enforcing the laws of our country, because essentially that is the task of the police service, to make sure that the laws of our country are upheld, and will do so in a dispassionate, impartial, and professional manner.
From the Flagstaff House, Adel Kwesi Mashtube reporting for Metro News.
All right, so COP David Asante Apietu is the acting IGP. Away from that, two departing ambassadors for the Federation Republic of Brazil and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have paid courtesy call on the President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo at the Flagstaff House to bid him farewell. Adel Kwesi Mashtube again has the rest of the story.
first to call on the president is the outgoing Brazilian ambassador to Ghana, Irene Vida Gala, who described the relations between Ghana and Brazil as very beneficial and called for closer ties, especially during President Akufo-Addo's administration. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo commended her for the good works over the years which have strengthened the relations between the two countries. Next to call on the president is the outgoing Kingdom of Saudi Arabia ambassador to Ghana, who has been in the country for 5 years.
I also wish to express my deep gratitude to the beloved Ghanaian people in general for their hospitality and good treatment that I will never forget as long as I am alive. I will keep on loving Ghana and its people.
Every year we have major issues to do with the transportation of our pilgrims to Mecca and the holy places. We're hoping that this year that it will be without incident. Still some stories about the way some of our nationals are treated in Saudi Arabia. I think it's important that one draws the attention of the authorities to it to make sure that as much as possible, whether those who are there seeking work or those who come for the annual pilgrimages, that the very friendly relations between our two nations is reflected in the way in which our people are also treated.
Away from that story, even before the president announces various metropolitan, municipal and district executives, some members of the NPP in the Ashaiman municipality are advising President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to be wary of lobbyists. According to the group, it will be prudent to pick someone within the municipality who they can best relate to.
Lobbying of assembly members for the post of municipal chief executive of Ashaiman is keenly taking place even before the interested parties put in application for the contest. Among the names making the rounds and believed by party faithful potential as the top contenders are the deputy constituency chairman, Joseph Ofosu-Siao, one-time parliamentary candidate Thomas Adongo, current parliamentary candidate Alhaji Yakubu Bari, and the first municipal chief executive for Ashaiman, who served for just 8 months and has since not lived in the municipality, but serving as Greater Accra Regional Secretary of NPP, Albert Otri. However, whilst the concerned NPP youth of Tulaku say they have no problem with any of the other 3 becoming the municipal chief executive of Ashaiman, they believe choosing the former municipal chief executive will be a discouragement to grassroots party politics. They are accusing the regional chairman of the party for supporting the former MCE instead of finding him a job at the regional level. According to them, they are sounding the early warning sign so that they will not be blamed for their actions should the party leadership fail to adhere to their concerns.
Local governance expert and executive director for the Center for Local Governance Advocacy, Dr. Eric Odrosai, is calling for an effective coordinating system within the newly created and already existing ministries. This, according to him, will prevent the possibility of duplication of functions and budget overturn. Dr. Eric Odrosai was addressing a press conference by the Center for Local Governance Advocacy here in Accra.
The press conference by the Center for Local Governance Advocacy was mainly focused on the new Local Governance Act, 2016 Act 936, which contains provisions that seek to re-centralize decentralized governance issues. Though at its formulation stage, the Centre says it has issues with some provisions of the Act and thus has to be amended. Under Section 199 subsection 1A of the Local Governance Act, for instance, a percentage of the Common Fund determined by Parliament is to be given to the Regional Coordinating Council to perform its functions. This, according to the Deputy Executive Director, defeats Article 252 subsection 3 of the 1992 Constitution, which requires Parliament to distribute the District Assembly Common Fund among only all district assemblies.
It is important to state that these assemblies under Article 295 of the 1992 Constitution excludes RCCs. CRJ therefore believes that allocating some of the DSCF to the RCC denies the district assemblies of the required funds for development.
Speaking on the creation of new ministries by the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to perform specific functions, local governance expert Dr. Eric Odrosai warned of a possible duplication of functions.
Planning stage, you need the two ministries, the Ministry for Zongo level development and the Ministry of Local Government, to synchronize their activities so that in their strategic plans we can have one ministry being responsible for that activity, so that at the budgeting stage they will be able to do effective budgeting. If we don't do that, we'll have the Ministry of Local Government budgeting for slum upgrading, which on its own is Zongo development and industry development. Then you have this new ministry and the Office of the President also budgeting. And if you are not very careful, we'll see duplicities in the budgeting process.
The Center for Local Governance Advocacy is also appealing to the President to fast-track the appointment of MMDCEs to ensure effective and efficient administration of the respective MMDAs.
Away from that story, 15-year-old Clement Abe is appealing to Ghanaians to help save his life. He has a hole in heart and needs to undergo an urgent surgery, which can only be performed in India. The family needs an amount of 94,000 Ghana cedis to keep their son alive.
The heart is everything. The mere sound of it only means one thing: life. But 15-year-old Clement Abe is battling for his life because his heart is failing him. Doctors say he has a hole in his heart.
The thing happens, I can't go to school. And it will come to my body. At times my body will pain me, I cannot move.
His mother, a single mom of 3 who works with a private security firm, cannot pay his bills. Clement is also suffering from hernia. His condition is deteriorating, and this once very bright 15-year-old junior high school pupil is now a pale shadow of himself.
He's good, but because of the sickness, so it has affected him negatively. So the performance is down. But if he's well, like other people, like he has got a very bright future.
Clement's condition is so complex that doctors at the National Cardiothoracic Center cannot perform the operation. He needs to be flown to India as soon as possible. The amount involved is 94,000 Ghana cedis.
Mr. Ghana for say, Obia we mobo, and as a muakolano pomobo. Why, Omutinye, at the anima because Obre pa oti wonu nuane bebre wo wa opebati ontimi endi because of neayenity.
Contributions can be brought to the newsroom of Metro TV or sent via mobile money to 020-816-4831. Clement says he needs to stay alive to realize his dream of becoming a doctor.
Sad one there, no donation at small, so let's help Clement Abe so he can live. Away from that, some residents of 3 Zongos communities in the Ashanti region have lauded the president for the creation of a ministry to see to the development of the Zongos. They are optimistic the initiative will help bridge the developmental gap between the Zongos and other communities.
Ahead of the 2016 general elections, the NPP, led by its flag bearer, promised a Zongo development fund. Upon winning the elections, the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, has created the Inner City and Zongo Development Ministry, with some critics questioning the initiative. However, some residents of 3 Zongo communities in the Ashanti region have lauded the initiative, saying it will help develop their communities.
I was glad when I heard the news about the new ministry. I pray Allah gives the president the wisdom so he can develop the Zongos as other places for crime to be reduced.
What
I want to see is improvement of roads and sanitation in Zongo communities, and also want Zongos to have decent toilet facilities.
Our expectations are that this particular ministry will come help with the developmental challenges that the Zongo communities are facing in the whole of the country.
Most Zongo communities in the country are confronted with challenges such as poor education, sanitation, and high crime rates, among others. The chief Zongo of Tafo, Alhaji Seidu Chipsa, in an interview with Metro News, catalogued some of the challenges in the Zongos which need immediate attention from this Zongo ministry.
They have infrastructure problems and social problems like education, like health, sanitation, all these things are there. So when you go to any town, you see that the development of the whole town, the Zongo is far behind. So if the government has come to pay particular attention to the development of Zongo so as to catch up with the rest of the town.
For some other residents, their main concern is for the ministry to help create jobs to reduce the crime rates in the Zongos and also provide good roads, place of convenience, and improve sanitation.
This is News Night. We're going for a breather. Please stay. Hello again, you're still watching News Night with me, Josephine Oppong-Yeboah. In other news, members of parliament have commended the ECOWAS for its proactive intervention in the recent political impasse in the Gambia by authorizing a high-powered mediation team that ensured that the protocol of the mechanism for conflict prevention, peace and security was enforced. In a statement, MP for Efutu, Alexander Afenyo-Markins, also commended Ghana for deploying 205 troops to enhance its political leverage in the sub-region.
One of the perennial challenges to the peace and security of the West African sub is contested election results, which often results in armed conflicts. The timely intervention of ECOWAS in the Gambia prevented what could have turned into a violent conflict situation in the sub-region. Members of parliament have therefore commended ECOWAS for the approach it adopted, especially the immediate deployment of the UN-backed troops from the sub-region, as well as the supervision of the swearing-in of the new president, Adama Barrow, at the Gambian embassy in Senegal.
As a preeminent stakeholder in the enterprise to maintain peace and security, and a vanguard of peacekeeping in the sub-region, Ghana, with a commitment of 205 troops, ensure that it enhanced its political leverage in the sub-region.
While seconding the statement, some members of the House had other concerns.
It will be good that if our troops are going to be deployed, and in a case that there's no war or conflict situations in any country, that our troops are going to be deployed, Parliament should be able to debate and find out the details of that deployment. Otherwise, our troops are going to be deployed under the guise of peacekeeping while they are going there to initiate. If we are faced with a challenge in future where the sitting president is the one who loses an election and is the one who is going to court, by our laws, will he be allowed to maintain his office until the determination by the court before a swearing-in is done? Mr. Speaker, that is the lesson that I draw from the challenge that Gambia was faced with, and I pray that in the warning that when your neighbor's beard is on fire, you put water close by you, will be a good advice in this particular case.
Indeed, it's extremely exciting that at this time we have a president, His Excellency Dankwa, who has demonstrated great leadership and took a decision to allow the former president, John Dramani Mahama, to continue with those discussions on the ECOWAS and the Gambia situation.
I dare say that the success of the resolution of the Gambian crisis is exactly because ECOWAS was willing and ready to take this bold step. And here, I'd like to commend former President Rawlings, who signed this protocol, former President Mahama, who participated in the negotiations, and His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, whose first international test perhaps this was, and who rose to the occasion. I believe it's a new day for democracy in West Africa.
Sitting resumes Thursday, 26th January 2017.
Away from the House of Legislature, Ghana is set to ban a range of mercury products whose production, exports and import are adversely affecting the environment. These revelations were made by the Chief Director of the Ministry for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation at a stakeholders meeting on the Minamata Convention on Mercury Control.
Minamata, as it is called, is a disease that was discovered in Japan because of the misuse of mercury by a factory in that country. Over time, the world adopted the name Minamata for conditions associated with severe mercury infection. Addressing stakeholders at a meeting organized by the EPA, Chief Director at the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation said Ghana will soon ban some mercury products from being produced, exported and imported into the country.
A range of mercury-containing products whose production, export and import will be banned by 2020 include batteries, except for button cell batteries used in implantable medical devices, switches and relays and blood pressure devices are also included for phase out by 2020. For the artisanal and small-scale gold mining, the treaty requires parties under Article 7 of the Convention to draw up strategies to reduce the amount of mercury used by small-scale miners.
Mercury usage in Ghana is mainly concentrated in areas where artisanal mining takes place. But the worry of the EPA is the non-existence of strong regulations to check the use of mercury.
You can release a small amount of the mercury into an environment, and then by the time it gets to the human being where we are eating the fish, you get quite a large quantity. Because what happens is that the small organisms take small bits of it. The fish eat a lot of those organisms, and so the fish then accumulate quite a lot. And then when it gets to us, it becomes a high quantity. Studies that have been done by scientists in Ghana, we have found mercury in places that there's no mining has ever taken place. In some parts of Accra, where we have an urban area, no mining, a lot of mercury has been found. We suspect a lot of this one is coming from the indiscriminate disposal of these energy-saving lamps. You find that many people, when the lamps are dead, they just throw them.
The one-week workshop seeks to raise awareness over the ultimate health implications.
Mercury is an element creating very big problems to the human health and to the environment. And managing in a proper way dangerous chemicals is one of the work towards achieving the sustainable development goals.
Ghana, meanwhile, is almost done with the ratification of the United Nations on the Minamata Convention on Mercury Usage. It is expected that the National Action Plan for Artisanal Small-Scale Mining will also receive some attention at the one-week conference. Frank Nyonato, Metro News, Accra.
Away from that story, the Lebanese community has once again awarded scholarships to 14 law students of the University of Ghana. Given the ever-evolving nature of the course, the Lebanese ambassador is calling on the school authorities to adopt a more modern approach to teaching the subject to make the trainees more competitive on the global scene. The ambassador Ali Halabi made the call at a brief ceremony held at the university to officially make his presentation to the students.
The Lebanese community has since 2013 been awarding scholarships to students across the country. According to the Lebanese ambassador, the program was birthed out of the Lebanese community's commitment to advancing education in Ghana.
The Lebanese community is in Ghana since more than 100 years, and they were very well received by the people of Ghana, and later on when Ghana got its independence by the government. And this is why the Lebanese communities, they feel that they are grateful to Ghana, and they want to contribute. And they found that the best way to contribute is on education.
On Wednesday, 14 law students at the University of Ghana who have distinguished themselves in their academic work were rewarded for their hard work.
Initially, when I came to the faculty, I heard talks about the scholarship, but I didn't really take it serious. I didn't ask about it. So after level 100, when we were called as part of the beneficiaries, it was shocking and amazing at the same time.
Knowing that, okay, people believe in you and are motivating you with this scholarship actually gives you a lot of motivation to continue going to the library every day, read your cases, and putting in the best you can.
The dean of the law faculty was of the view that the scholarship program has stirred up competition among his students, beneficiaries and non-beneficiaries alike.
We have noticed that the students, recipients, year in, year out, struggle to maintain a certain performance, level of performance, to be able to continue being on the scholarship. That has engendered a kind of competition in the faculty.
While expressing his gratitude to the Lebanese community, the provost at the College of Basic and Applied Sciences at the University of Ghana seized the opportunity to urge other institutions to sponsor other students at the university. In all, the Lebanese community has extended the gesture to 100 students across the country.
Let's now turn our attention to the western region, where 8 shops were counted burnt down into ashes as owners recount losing millions of Ghana cedis as a result of the fire that gutted Second D market in the Second D Takoradi metropolis.
The fire outbreak occurred at the corn mill closer to the meat shop in the market. Some eyewitnesses blamed the outbreak of the fire on faulty meters being used by the corn mill operator, while others say it is an overloaded electrical pole behind the market. The Second D market superintendent, Anita Menson, says the market has not experienced such in the last 10 years. The damage cost runs into millions of Ghana cedis, and the affected shops have their items completely burned. The timely intervention of personnel from the Ghana National Fire Service managed to prevent the fire from spreading to other shops. Investigations are ongoing to ascertain the cause of the fire.
Now, students of the University of Professional Studies are demanding the immediate closure of a shell filling station located behind the school. The students fear many lives of students would be lost in the event of any disaster. Gabriel Obudaitowashon has the rest of the story.
Students of the University of Professional Studies started raising red flags over construction of the self-fuel filling station in early 2016, but it appears all their calls fell on deaf ears. Today, the fuel station is completed and is operational. Students, though, are alarmed with this development.
This is barely 50 meters away from our institution. Just behind the filling station, we have a mosque. Just by the mosque, we have an auditorium which is being set up.
This is the lives of 13,000 students that we are talking about here. And the entrance here is an obstruction to the students. We can't enjoy good life with this.
Anything can happen, and then our lives, it's not because of your money that our lives will be in danger.
They threaten to do every possible thing to ensure the station is decommissioned.
We are expecting them to come and decommission this place because it's a threat to life.
We close it down upon ourselves. They're supposed not to build this thing here, and they breach the rules and they build it. Then we too will break the rules and we close it. Then we take the issue to court. Then we know who is right.
Efforts to speak with owner of the station proved futile. Metro News, however, gathered that the Environmental Protection Agency EPA is holding a mediation talks between the students and owner of the fuel filling station to find amicable solution to the problem. Metro News is keeping a close eye on the issue and will keep you updated. From UPSA here in Accra, Gabriel Obodai-Togwashon reporting.
All right, so business news is coming up next after this breather. Business news: producer price inflation rate for December 2016 is pegged at 4.9%, representing a decrease of 7.0% compared to the 11.9% rate recorded in November 2016. According to government statistician, the decrease in inflation is as a result of the fall of utility price in November 2016, as well as decrease in gold prices on the world markets.
The year-on-year producer price inflation for all industry was 4.9% in December 2016, down by 7.0% compared to the 11.9% rate recorded in November 2016. The monthly change rate was negative 0.6%. The mining and quarrying subsector recorded the highest year-on-year producer price inflation rate of 15.6%, followed by the manufacturing subsector with 5.5%. The utilities subsector recorded the lowest year-on-year producer inflation rate of negative 7.0%. Anthony Amuzu is the deputy government statistician, and he explained the reasons for the fall in the producer inflation rate.
If you take, we're looking at a decrease from 38.3% in November to negative 7.0% in December 2016. And you remember in 2015, the increases in water tariff was 67.2%, and electricity tariffs were also increased by 59.2%. And these were in December 2015. So there was a high index level at that time. So if you're comparing December 2016 to December 2015, you could see that there will be that huge decline in the index level. And that is what has resulted in that high decrease in the inflation for the utilities. And then if you take the mining and quarrying too, there was a decrease. And this is as a result of a decline in the prices of gold on the world market.
With respect to the monthly changes, the manufacturing and utilities subsectors recorded rates of 0.2% each. The mining and quarrying subsector recorded the lowest rate of negative 4.5%.
Some business owners are expressing confidence over the creation of the Ministry of Business Development. According to them, the ministry, which has been headed by former Managing Director of the Graphic Communications Group Limited, Ibrahim Mohammed Awal, will change the face of business entities in the country, as they will now have a dedicated ministry to cater for their needs directly.
Business Development Ministry is one of the new creations of President Nana Akufo-Addo. According to him, the ministry will operate under the office of the presidency and will, among other things, see to it that business entities thrive. This, some members of the business community have welcomed.
If businesses had issues around in a raft of whether there are activities at the port, whether it's overland movement of goods and services, whether it is some kind of trade association issues. Your Minister of Trade and Minister of Finance would not be able to deal with it because they're not really down to doing the nitty-gritty. But this new ministry, if it was empowered to be able to actually pick up grievances, pick up issues directly from the market and from market operators, they will now be able to actually see the impact of policy on business.
Expect to support us only with a few things. Our business is very good, but we can't cover our expenses this time. Almost 1 year, 2 years, we can't cover our expenses because of the expenses we have as electricity, as water bill, electricity bill. It's too much. We can't pay this.
But expectations are high. They want the ministry to address the numerous challenges confronting the sector, especially when it comes to the development of local businesses.
And secondly, border no, because China nyama sorry I see China nyama na say Ghana, but allow our ports maybe draw my mudia no kwan some market some best sankrofo nyama akosi eto no mun seize side nyama ni nyina our port.
There all can say be a duty na be a cost kakra nti say minister you obey. So bet me share duty na mana conform kakra esa na yeso ye nyama prices na cost kakra. So bet me share my prices ama duty na ba form kakra ma yen yeso be okay say be a customers ne ba omun complain say be a nyama price ne cost na say bibisa.
We say the ye pa antino omun me money na taxes no amount tete so my.
All things being equal, the Business Development Ministry will be headed by the former Managing Director of Graphic Communications Group and the current CEO of Marvel's Communications Group, Ibrahim Mohamed Awal.
On the news across our borders, the U.S. President Donald Trump will sign an executive orders restricting visas on immigrants as well as the entry of refugees, making good on his signature campaign pledges. Trump is due to speak to employees at the Department of Homeland Security employees, which handles immigration, and sign orders on refugees and national security. One of the others would restrict immigration and access to the U.S. for the refugees and visa holders from Iraq, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. This, according to the Washington Post, noted that citizens from many of these countries already face major obstacles in obtaining U.S. visas. During the fiscal year 2016, the U.S. government had admitted 10,000 Syrian refugees, the majority of whom were families and their children. In his presidential campaign, Trump promised to restrict the entry of refugees and build a wall along the southern U.S. border with Mexico. Okay, so this is where we draw the curtains on News Night. It came to you live from our studios here at Metro Television. My name is Josephine Oppong-Yeboah. Thanks a bunch for watching. Have a good night.